Restoring an older home, well, it's full of a lot of unexpected problems. It's all splittering off.
So it was the right call.
Yeah, but not the call I wanted to make.
What's that, you ask? Could it be the carpet?
You imagine just living in your new place. And then the reality steps in.
In 2024, Darcy and I bought the top 2 floors of this 1890s-era villa in Bergen, Norway. Having a place to call home was something we had planned and dreamt about for 3 years. For the next 12 months, we would travel a road that was entirely new to us, bringing this historic pearl into the 21st century. This is the start of our journey.
Oh, are you going to remember that?
Before you can even begin restoring your home, your time is split between taking inventory of what you have and imagining the possibilities. You walk from room to room, you measure, you photograph, and most of all, you plan. Hours and hours spent trying to solve the jigsaw puzzle that will be your new home. Darcy and I were working our full-time day jobs when the crew finally got started. At the end of the day, we come to the house and somehow, almost magically, the walls were gone. You'd catch yourself saying, "Whoa, when did that happen?" One of the first steps will be sorting out the bones of the house. Taking out the bedroom wall that will become our American-sized kitchen. We need to see if it's load-bearing and where the electrics and pipes are located. The 3rd floor doesn't need much work. We only plan to move parts of 2 walls. However, the floors are covered with a hideous wall-to-wall carpet in a lovely grayish color. When someone installed the carpet in an apparent effort to spruce up the place, they didn't use carpet tacks. Instead, they went with liters of industrial-strength glue. It was a bear to pull up, and it only came up reluctantly in chunks.
What's that, you ask? Could it be the carpet from the 3rd floor? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Mama, let's go. I gotta poop.
Unfortunately, the glue ruined the surface. So much for keeping the original floors. They installed the carpet everywhere. The hallway, the bedroom,
That's great.
and the front family room. However, to deaden the sound of my office, we didn't want it removed there.
Oh no. It's afraid of that. Yeah.
Great. We're moving this wall between the master bedroom and the hallway out. However, the bedroom floor is 10 centimeters higher, making the threshold uneven. That means pulling up the floorboards to discover why. And honestly, it makes no sense. There are no pipes, no electrical, nothing but rocks, sand, and gravel. You might assume this is a 130-year-old fire break. Well, yes and no. In many older Norwegian homes, rocks and sand were used as insulation, a thermal mass that retains heat. It's not all that efficient by today's standards, but very good at wicking away moisture and letting your home breathe. It has the added benefit of deadening the sound of footsteps heard in the room below. This is certainly unexpected, and in the spirit of it's better to repair than replace, I'm not exactly sure what we'll do with it. Removing the floor presents a life lesson. Be careful what you ask for. Under the boards, we made friends with a colony of striped boar beetles. The back wall and floor joists are riddled with holes. This means we'll need to follow the holes and rip out the floor in the front room, all in an effort to see if this is an active colony or old. Great. When I said the 3rd floor doesn't need much work, well, I failed to mention this task. After all, this is where you'll find the aggressively, geometrically, unapologetically blue and white bathroom, a towering 1990s monument to design decisions that were made with absolute conviction. For us, it has to go. And the change is incredible. I'm confident we filled a dumpster with blue tiles. And just like the floor in the bedroom, this raised floor around the tub was just for show. No hidden pipes, just something to trip on. For me, I'm shocked to see everything stripped away. This is the first room in the house where we are done with demo and we can finally move from our imagination to something tangible. It's genuinely exciting.
Restoring an older home, well, it's full of a lot of unexpected problems. I guess that's to be expected. Still, on Sunday we were up here on the terrace and we noticed a soft spot here on the top, and it was like, I wonder if that's going to be a larger problem. So we asked our builder, hey, Torstein, the soft spot in the roof, maybe we should open a hole in the ceiling and see if there's a larger problem. Yeah, we've got a problem. Dry rot, rotten sill, and toxic mold.
This photo says it all. That is the look of someone who is asking themselves, what have we gotten ourselves into? I have no clue who put in this bathroom. I find it really difficult to wrap my head around all the problems. Inspectors found code violations, lack of proper ventilation, bad wiring, well, the list goes on. For example, it appears the water damage and rot were caused not only by installing the vapor barrier backwards, but by blocking the ventilation, trapping the moisture in the ceiling. Or here, where clearly this beam had rotted completely away. But rather than fix it, they simply strapped a piece of wood to span the rotten joist. You'd think they would have realized they had a bigger problem. Or here, where they drilled holes and even carved out half of this load-bearing beam. It's simply not how you wire a house.
So that's the soft spot in the terrace. That black hole in the middle, that's the rubber membrane I was pressing on.
When we bought the house, there was nothing in the inspection report to prompt us to open the ceiling. So perhaps we're lucky we wanted to know why the roof was soft. I guess. It's likely we would have built over the top of this mess, only to find out later that we'd need to do it all over again. What a cluster.
Every house has a unique history. And when you buy a really old home, say 130 years old, the history you inherit is more than just wood or plaster or the people who called it home. You quickly discover the impact of maintenance forgotten and decades of DIY projects. We thought we had bought a house. Instead, we paid for surprises.
The bugs we found last week were one thing, but this is completely unexpected and unbudgeted. Anobium punctatum. Like caveat emptor, you can think of it as Latin for buyer beware. Okay, really, Anobium punctatum is the species name for the striped boar beetle, a pest that bores into and feeds on wood. They thrive in moist places, like homes in Bergen. They'll chew through your house, weakening the structure that holds it up. So when you find the boreholes, you have to start following the trail, through a wall and into the next room, ripping up the floor, all the way to the front of the house. We didn't plan on replacing this floor until now. And in this process, you never know what you'll discover.
It's quite a lot.
Oh yeah, it's all splittering off. Yeah, that's...
Yeah. So it was the right call.
Yeah, but not the call I wanted to make.
No. I understand. You know, we also we like better to build things than
Take it out.
Yeah. But,
Do what we have to do.
yeah.
when you first buy a house. You imagine just living in your new place. And then the reality steps in. You expect the unexpected problems, but one after another after another. First it was termites. Not horrible, but it's an old building. Then we found out we had mold. We saw huge problems there, and then we found this.
These two big boards are called the top plate and header. They are two of the most critical and load-bearing timbers in the entire house. The top plate ties the walls together. The header distributes the load of the roof, and together they are what keeps the top of the house strong. In other words, standing, but not when rot has carved a huge hole in the structure. This house was constructed like a log home, stacking square timbers to form walls and pinned together with dowels. It is a traditional process that's been refined over hundreds of years. The front facade is just that, a veneer of masonry to give the illusion that this is a stone structure. But really, this is a 3-story log house, which means rotted out timbers are a problem. A really big problem. Tearing out the floor revealed the rot. The boards were barely attached to the front beams, which meant opening up the entire wall to find the source of the leak. Although it wasn't hard to guess, you can easily trace the flow of water from the corner of the window down the wall.
The wood is absolutely rotted out. The roof is beginning to sag. We're getting cracks in the ceiling. And it's all got to be replaced. That certainly wasn't on our dance card.
Clearly, this window is not original to the house. In fact, the two fellows who made it, Roald and Eirik, carved their names into the window frame. They even added a date, 1984. This means we're looking at 40 years of water damage. A slow trickle, just enough to feed the rot, but not enough to notice.
When you buy your home, you can't help but be optimistic. You dream of the possibilities. You imagine your new life. Everything is rainbows and butterflies. However, that optimism does begin to fade when you discover that first big problem. And when that first big problem is surpassed by the next big problem and the next big problem after that, well, it just feels like a house that's burning out of control. The optimism you once possessed is long gone. And frankly, all you want to do is blow the sucker up. Duck.
But you don't. That's because when you are committed to restoring a house, you find solutions to problems.
I'm not too pleased. And frankly, I'm just a little worried about how these previous DIY projects have resulted in major damage to the house. Guess that's what you get for an old house. So the plan is we've got to start bracing the ceiling here so that the roof doesn't come in, and that means not only bracing here up in the attic, but that means we're going to have to start putting bracing downstairs in the dining room, the living room, so that we can then open up the entire roof from the outside.
And yeah, they took this flooring off to find out how far the possibly termites have. And you can see that the flooring beforehand was put down with newspaper, and then an interesting blue linoleum laminate over it. Thinking maybe a kid's room, but we were able to rescue one of the newspapers from 1984.
The saga of the water-damaged wood on the front of the house, well, it continues. They've managed to go through and pull out all the wood that had fallen apart, that the water had gotten into and was just rotting away. But it's worth taking a look what they pulled out. For example, you get a board like this, and this is the side that we saw in the room. And then when you open it up, you can see that it is entirely rotted out from the inside. Literally all of this stuff is just been eaten away with water damage. And that's not the worst of it. You get pieces like this, which have literally no weight left to them. It's light and just absolutely trash. And this was supposed to hold up the house. I can break it with my fingers. And it's board after board that are just all rotten away and falling apart. Incredible. But I'm glad we found it now. I can't imagine what a mess it would be 5 years from now when our roof started sagging and caving in. This is the time to fix it. This is the time to fix it right. Incredible.
It's been a month and a half since we discovered the rotten bathroom ceiling. But now we can finally begin repairs. Nothing can be saved, so everything needs to be torn out and rebuilt from scratch. The goal is to remove and replace everything in one day because, well, this is Bergen. Even in summer, you can pretty much expect rain.
Pretty amazing to see them pull the roof off. It's been holding us up for so long. It's great that we finally are at a point where coincidence of good weather and having the room ready to go and all the wood pre-cut. About time. This thing has really held us up. What a grind. I guess I'm just looking forward to having things start looking like a finished house rather than always ripping things out because there are problems. We'll see.
From above, the damage is hard to believe. Looking at it now, it's amazing that this roof could hold our weight. And to think this all started with a single step on a hole in the roof.
Now we can say goodbye to this.
None too soon. Oh my God. Yeah, that just needs to go.
Yeah. So that's
Good riddance.
Well, it's great that we've been able to get the ceiling off, and that takes us well on our way of making repairs and moving this project forward. It does pose one problem, and that is, well, when nature calls, you end up going to a loo with a view. Yeah, it's more like camping.
By midday, the room turned a corner. New rafters are in, plywood is going down, and it finally feels like we're building something instead of discovering the next disaster. And when you're racing the clock, moving ladders becomes a trust exercise.
That's only sort of safe. I am just amazed. What was a loo with a view has a roof in just one day. And they had everything pre-cut and ready to go, and they just dropped all the beams in place and dropped the membrane and the plywood. And it's good that they got this tarp on because raining outside.
Just another summer day in Bergen. If you've ever gone through a complete home renovation, then you know the hardest job, scheduling the work. What you see here is our rooftop swimming pool with a blue tarp liner. Today is the end of July, but this is here because, well, the roofing company can't fit us in for another 10 weeks. If only it were a little deeper. Maybe we could do laps. Or not. With the room stripped to its bones, we can finally get started. It's the same basic layout, only now it reflects our aesthetic. We'll put in a heated tile floor with microcement on the walls. The double vanity will be built around the stone countertop we saved from the old blue and white bathroom. On the north wall, a freestanding tub and glass shower. And here, we'll move the toilet to make room for a cabinet with a stacked washer and dryer. Most importantly of all, the room will finally have proper ventilation, which, in this house, feels less like a design feature and more like a minor miracle. By now, it's clear the theme of this story centers on surprises.
Walking over to get the keys to the house.
The first one came when we got the keys to the house.
During the tour, we learned that the basement apartment doesn't have its own power meter or hot water heater.
Obviously, sharing electricity and hot water with another apartment, well, it's not an option. There's no room in the basement to install another heater, which means finding another solution. Therefore, we're adding our own tank on the third floor. But you can't hide it in any old corner. The space needs to be strong enough to hold the weight, and it needs to be a wet room with a drain. Building the wet room is the first step. The next is installing the water lines and drains in the bathroom. Unfortunately, one consequence of relocating the water heater is that now we're replumbing the entire house. With the water lines in place, the next two important milestones are drywall and vapor barrier. There is one big difference from the previous construction. This time, the vapor barrier goes in correctly. Installed by professionals with outside ventilation that works. Yeah, the room might look ugly, but there's a feeling of excitement as things start taking shape. You catch yourself remembering why you love this home. This is Bailey, our tiler. Cement mason, microcement specialist. Honestly, I don't know the official trade name for his craft. But his arrival signals that we've made it to the next big milestone. We're finishing the walls. It's time for microcement. Microcement is not a DIY finish. This ain't paint. You don't slap it on and just push it around. The surface needs preparation, and to do it right, you need an experienced professional. You apply it slowly in thin layers, each adding depth to the final color, more like oil painting. It's hard to see on camera, but each layer adds subtle hues and shades. Seeing Bailey lay the tile is the moment you feel this house has stopped coming apart. It really is coming back together. This tile is called, appropriately enough, 20s Classic. It's our nod to the original era of the house, and we like the aesthetic. Sure, it's a bold pattern, but this will be the room's focal point, the big design element of the master bath. And after the problems we've faced so far, there's the realization that Darcy's design is becoming manifest, and that is fun. 2 weeks later, the pieces for the wash tower cabinet are here, waiting for installation. By week 17, we're getting closer to what we imagined. Most of the plumbing fixtures are installed, but no water to the room. At the start of week 20, everything is ready for assembly, including the monstrous wash tower. A 130-kilogram beast, we had to hump up 3 flights of stairs, something you only do once. When we started designing the house, we knew we'd move the washer and dryer up here. I found one on sale in April, and I started designing the built-in cabinet. The footprint had to be precise because, well, space is limited. And we'd need storage for soap and stuff. After a few iterations, I landed on this, with doors and trim that matched the vanity. There were a few things I didn't anticipate with this design, like reaching the top cabinet.
Can you reach up there?
No. What is it?
It's a cabinet.
It's just for show.
No, it's not.
I can't get it. Oh, look at that. It's not just for show, Drew. What are we going to stick in there? I'm going to need a stool.
Well, you're in the bathroom.
In the bathroom.
That's a bit up there.
Yeah, and it was kind of sticky, too.
It's got a magnet on it.
But, there are things we could put in there that we don't need to use all the time.
Oh, yeah.
We have things.
Yeah, we have things. We're American after all.
Yeah, I know.
This is the first time we can stand in the space and take it all in, absorbing how it feels and how it looks.
Yeah, I really like the black accents. Oh boy, it's looking great, and I'm really happy that it has a lot more space. I thought it was going to be really tight in here.
Yeah.
And it's not, so that's very, very nice.
It's clear why everybody comes in and goes, wow, this is a big bathroom.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, and I'm like, really?
Yeah, now then I see it here. It does look actually quite big. Looks good. Now we have to paint that thing, that monster.
It's pretty amazing to finally see, all the parts start coming together.
Who knew that just having plumbing would be so joyful? Hey, we have water and it's going down a drain. Yay!
At the end of the day, it just feels good to see everything come together. It's been a long road.
And to finally be getting it to look like a bathroom.
I know, it's amazing.
Really is.
But what I really like about the toilet and the tub being next to each other, I can, this is nice and level for my wine glass.
Oh, for your wine and your strawberries.
This is our bedroom. No walls, no insulation, no flooring, just the bedroom. So took the wall out, and then they're moving back the wall. The chimney has to stay in the middle.
But first, a bit of a backstory about our bedroom. 10 years ago, we purchased the bed of Darcy's dreams, a piece of furniture she had wanted since childhood. A big-ass wooden sleigh bed, and by big, I mean epic. This is one of the few pieces of furniture we shipped across the ocean to Norway. When we decided to bring it here, we were aware the bed might be problematic because, well, unfortunately, most European bedrooms are too small for this monster. Or the walls are not walls, but the underside of a roof. Or the room is an odd size. And side note here, who puts their bed in front of the closet? I mean, there's never enough space available for all your crap. I mean, why put your bed here of all places? Anyway, I digress.
Hi, son.
Hi.
Samantha.
Drew.
Drew.
When it came time to look for a house to buy, we devoted most of our attention on the potential bedroom. Yes, I was one of those guys at a visiting with a tape measure, pacing back and forth, writing down measurements, because, well, if the bed didn't fit, the house was out of consideration. We did this every time. Well, almost every time. There was one house where we forgot. This house. The original bedroom layout had a few problems, so we needed to figure out how to move things around. The angled ceiling meant there was only one wall available for the headboard, and it wasn't this one. Another challenge was the only wall that would work had an odd zigzag shape. Additionally, the wall to the hallway was so close to the bed, the door couldn't open.
Now, I can hear you saying to yourself, oh, why not get a new bed? Honestly, we like the bed. It's been a touchstone of our lives together, and well, that sentiment, it gives us comfort. There was never a question of whether that bed would stay. What we have learned is that, well, there's nothing like designing your house around a piece of furniture.
This will be the master bedroom.
We've got a little bit of work to do in here. We need to take this wall and take it back flush here, taking a little bit of space out of the room next door. This will help to give us a little bit more room for our bed. We'll also take this wall over here and we'll push it back a little bit, just open up space a little bit more.
With the addition of a new floor that's now level with the hallway and the replacement of that odd zigzag wall, the rest of the room renovation will go quickly. Hopefully. We can frame the new wall, install the drywall, and get things ready for painting. Well, Ronnie, Bailey, and Gregory can frame the room and add the wallboard. Sure, I could do it, but the results would be sketchy at best. I discovered this fact the summer after I graduated from university. I needed a job and my sister found me a position framing warehouses. That first week, I learned it's not only hard work, but skilled work. It is a craft that demands training, practice, and the ability to miss your thumb when hammering. All things I lacked then and continue to lack now. I came away from the job with a lifetime of respect for folks who possess these skills.
Amazing. We have a bedroom. Wow. It's so much nicer to see them build things rather than tear them down. It's coming together. All of the work in this room has been predicated on how do we fit our bed into this space. So we needed to drop the floors and needed to re-insulate the space because there was no isolation. But now it's starting to look like a room. We begin to see what it really looks like. And that reveal is so exciting. Just really excited.
That excitement fades quickly as we wait for the electricians to finish wiring the room. And by wait, I mean 2.5 months. With it ready for priming, I can test out my new airless sprayer. Now, I've used an airless for years on all sorts of projects. They're great, and I can't imagine painting this house without one. However, there's always a learning curve with a new piece of kit.
Well, here goes nothing. Let's see how this goes. Finally paint. Normally I don't wave my hand back and forth, but I'm just trying to figure out why I have such a bad spray pattern. I may need to try a different nozzle.
I give up. I guess I should have used a roller. A week later, and it's time to paint the walls and ceiling the final color. With the crew kicking up sawdust during the day or finishing something so I can do my work and my full-time job, all too often it's 8 o'clock at night before I can get started. It makes for a long day.
Well, it's midnight, and I just finished painting the walls in the master bedroom, and now I have to paint the ceiling. This house is going to kill me before I move in. But we have a deadline we need to hit, so they finished with some of the spackle and or sparkle today. We had to let it dry, and then we need to see if we have the room done tomorrow. So long grind. It's going to be probably 1, 2 o'clock before I'm out of here.
Despite the work wearing us down, we can't let ourselves lose sight of our goal. And when everything is done and the house becomes your home, the hours of toil, the endless frustration, the avalanche of surprises begin to fade away. As you look forward to life in your new home, it all seems worth it.
Wow, if you've made it this far, I offer a sincere thank you. This is a really long video. Many of you know we're telling these stories with the benefit of hindsight. We started renovations in June of 2024, and 14 months later, we were mostly done. Yeah, you're actually never totally done. What I've learned is that making sense of hundreds of hours of footage just takes time. With the next few episodes, we're hoping to spotlight our work on individual sections of the house, the next being the living and dining rooms. It was a really fun experience where we made new friends and learned a ton. I don't know when I'll finish it because, well, they come out sporadically because I just tend to fiddle with them as I try to figure out the story. But finally, I thought I'd share my thinking about using AI in these videos, particularly with the current backlash against AI slop. I've made a choice to use AI video generation as illustrations, visuals that amplify or clarify a point. I've tried to create scenes where a viewer immediately understands this is fantasy, not reality. I don't use AI to write my stories. That should be pretty clear from all the painful dad jokes you've had to endure. All of the footage I use to show our journey is genuine. Trust me, there's some really sketchy camera work I would have loved to replace. For nearly 5 years, I've researched the use of AI in video storytelling. So my choice to incorporate this, well, it's pretty carefully considered. For me, I want to use it as a storytelling tool, the same way I've used graphics, sound effects, and music in previous episodes. So please, let me know if you think me using AI cuts into the believability of the story, or if you're okay with it. Again, a genuine thank you for watching. I'm really excited about sharing the next few episodes about our life in Norway, and most of all, our love affair with our little house. Honestly, we like the bed. Of whether the cuts into the believability of a story, or if you're okay with it. Again, I just tend to try to fiddle with the story as I try to figure out the story. So I'm storying. Why not get a new piece of furniture? Why not get a new bed? Why not learn fucking stand-up? Nothing like designing a house around a piece of furniture. And an airplane. Great, airplane. There's nothing like designing your house around a piece of furniture. And an airplane. Again, thank you for watching. I'm really excited about sharing the next episode, about the airplane flying over my head, and about our love affair with the little house.